Welcome back to the channel, guys. I'm sure you've seen the unveil of my new project car that's going to be my daily commuter that I'm eventually going to convert into a track car. But in today's video, I'm going to talk about why I bought a Miata, a Mazda MX-5 Miata. And I usually make these videos where I kind of like stand around the car and kind of change positions. But until I figure out how to do that and not look silly, because this car is so small and proportionally when I stand next to it, it doesn't fit in frame. I've got to figure that out. We're gonna sit and talk about this one. So, I'm gonna show different things about this car while we do this video, but I just wanna forewarn you guys that there's not a lot of like B-roll here. We're just gonna talk about why I bought the Miata. So hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Should be very interesting. There's a lot of reasons I bought this car and some exciting news about the channel and other things that I'm doing in this channel. So if you don't love Miatas, but you love Subarus, because that's what I mainly make content about, I'm gonna talk about the next project, which is a Subaru, so definitely watch the video. If you guys haven't subscribed already, also please consider subscribing. I now have two projects, one that I've already probably announced, but I'll talk about here, and I now have the Mazda project. So more interesting stuff coming to this channel. It should be exciting. So yes, I bought a 2008 Mazda MX-5 Miata. This is an NC Miata. That is the generation of Miata. It is the NC. It is one of those contentious generations of Miatas. A lot of people don't like this. They prefer the NA or the NB because it's a little bit more raw. I got a great deal in an NC, and it's a car that I'm going to build for a track long term, but I'm going to use it as a daily in the short term. And I wanted something newer because then I don't have to deal with rust and other things like that. Knock on the Miata, hopefully it doesn't rust out on me. But I ended up buying this. So why a Miata? Why now? Why a Miata? So a ton of reasons. I guess the first one, just to get it off the table, I've always wanted a Miata. I've always heard that they were super fun cars to drive, and I've just wanted to own one for a period of time to say that I've had the experience owning one. It's a cheap enough car that I was like, I'm just gonna do it to have the experience, and I bought it. So that's reason number one, that's out of the table. Reason number two is I needed a car that I could use as a daily driver while I work on my project, which is gonna take 6 to 12 months. If you didn't watch the reveal of that project, I'm gonna be building a WRX or an STI as a full engine track build, and it's gonna take me half a year to a year to do that build, so I need something to drive in the meantime. And I've had commuter cars that weren't fun in the past, so I was like, that is definitely off the table. And I wanna make more content for the YouTube channel that's just more interesting, that's more mod focused. And modding Miatas is super inexpensive. They're super fun to drive. They're great track cars because you can throw them around and they're super light. So I thought, what the heck? I'm gonna add a project car that is also my daily commuter. So this car is going to be my daily commuter until the full project car is good to go. During that time, I'm going to slowly modify this to be a track car, not a quarter-mile car, but kind of an autocross, something smaller, more fun car where it's very suspension focused, maybe making a little bit more power. I haven't written off the idea of putting a turbo kit or a supercharger kit on this, but it's gonna be very track focused in suspension, just not having to slow down while accelerating, which it's already a B stat. So we are gonna be modifying this over time, but this is really gonna be able to get me through my other modification content. I still haven't answered why the Miata. I wanted something that's fun. I think that I lost a lot of passion while I was working on the WRX, which wasn't even a full build, and I had a Mazda 3, I had a truck. I just wasn't feeling the passion for automotive, just the sport itself. So I wanted something that I could still enjoy that while working on something, because you lose the connectivity of driving a vehicle. And the Miata answers that to the fullest extent, because it is, I'll be honest, it is one of the most raw, fun driving experiences in a car that I've ever had in any car that I've ever driven. Is it the most fun car that I've ever driven? No, but for what it delivers, its price, its power, it's a blast. Like, it's one of those cars where like, there's no part of me that's like, I need more power on this car. Maybe I'd want some. It's not like the WRX where you're like, I need more power to have fun, because that is true. To be like exhilarated in the WRX, you need a little bit more power to be able to get through all those corners and enjoy some of the things that the WRX delivers. The honesty with this thing is you can throw this thing around so hard, and it's so light that even with the power that it has, it is a blast to drive. So the Miata kind of answered all those things. The other thing is I really needed a car that was incredibly reliable because I literally have a project car with a pulled engine for a year. So the Miata is generally reliable and it's very inexpensive to work on, you know, minus things like engine or transmission going. But for the most part, parts are cheap. So one example is I just found out the AC is broken in this car, and like I can get a new compressor for this car for like $90, $130 or something like that shipped. Super inexpensive, right? Like just all around parts are inexpensive. So I was like, as I do that, as I replace that, I'm gonna do the belts, I'm gonna do the radiator, I'm gonna do the AC cooler, I'm gonna do all these things, because it's like, as long as I'm opening it all up, it's only a couple $100 extra to replace all these things on a car that has 110,000 miles on it, that also has some damage in the fin, so I might as well just do it because parts are cheap, it's easy to work on. It's also super light, so you know, one of the big gripes with the truck, which I've sold, I'll make another video on that, or if I haven't released it already, was it was so heavy, it was so hard to work on because you have to have perfect working conditions just to even get it up in the air, because it was such a risk, because it was, you know, 6,000 pounds, and then parts were huge on it, and they were expensive because you were buying literal raw material for everything because it was just a big truck. And I loved that truck, but all of those things, you know, I literally, this car, it's like like two of these is still over 1,000 pounds lighter than the truck. So it's almost, the truck was the same weight as almost 3 of these, which is just remarkable. But it's a very big change in car. But yeah, so that's basically why I bought the Miata. It's gonna be a commuter car that is building slowly into a project car while I work on the entire other build, and it still delivers all the super fun things and aspects about driving. And I couldn't be more excited to make content about this, because I honestly think, and this is kind of down to the core of what this channel is, you know, I wanna make unbiased content about sports cars and just the automotive industry and everything. And I wanted to go back to the grassroots of what is the best entry-level sports car for somebody looking to get into this sport, this hobby, automotive sports car. And undeniably, it's this car, you know, NB, or NA, NB, NC, it is this car that's sitting next to me, and that's simply because of the amount of fun you can have at the price point. You know, hint, hint, nudge, nudge, I paid $8,000 for this car, and that is relatively expensive because I bought a 2008 touring NC Miata, where, you know, you could get a 99 for much cheaper. It only has 110,000 miles. So with that said, guys, that's exactly why I bought the Miata. I cannot wait to make content about this, and more importantly, I cannot wait to have a car that will carry me through making full build content for a Subaru, which is the grassroots of this channel. And otherwise, I appreciate you watching the video, and stay tuned for lots more content to come to the channel, and welcome to the Miata.